Shalom Mishpacha and welcome. This is Rabbi Mark Rantz from Congregation Rosh Pinah coming to you from GLC in Odessa, Texas. If you've been meeting with me the past number of weeks, you know that I am a Messianic rabbi in a small congregation in Baltimore, Maryland, where our call and mission is to preach the good news of Yeshua to the Jewish community there. Salt and light to God's chosen people, to first Israel and then all nations. This is God's heart. And I believe this is why this week's text is so powerful. As a matter of fact, the teachings that I've been bringing to you up to this point, I think, culminate to chapter 2 in many ways. Chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. Let me read it real quick. And we spoke of this last week. When I came to you, brethren, I did not come with the excellence of speech or wisdom, proclaiming to you the mystery of God. For I decided not to know about anything among you except Yeshua the Messiah and him crucified. I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. My speech and my preaching was not with persuasive words of wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and of power, so that your faith would not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Everything about our Messianic faith is about the finished work of Messiah Yeshua on our behalf. The prophets foretold that this was going to come, that the Messiah would come, the Holy One of Israel, that he would bear the sins of humanity. And he has come. And this is our hope of glory, not only for the Jew, but from the Gentile alike. Now, last week we talked about our high calling and Corinth's high calling in Messiah Yeshua, and drawing from historical understanding of Corinth as a pagan city. Rabbi Shaul urges the Corinthians to walk according to the Hokmah, or the wisdom of Adonai, with the end result that they would not lack any good spiritual gift. And in this, we talked about the fivefold ministry. But we can't expect to move in the gifts of the Spirit if we're not walking in faithfulness and in service to one another and to the Lord and his word. Significant to our call to wisdom, Derek Lehman reminded regarding Proverbs 13:14 that the fountain of life that comes from seeking God's wisdom is opposed to the world, is like a spring and not a fountain in a city square. Out of your bellies will come springs of living water. God wants to fill you with his Ruach. He wants to anoint you in power to reach your community, those around you for the sake of Yeshua, to the Jew first and then to all nations. He's calling us to service today, to be used by him. We are called to draw from the water of life, but all too often we seem to feast on things that aren't of the Lord and don't satisfy. God is calling us all the much more to a greater calling and something greater than the world could ever give us. And I know that this is what this text is all about. The Greeks, like us today, needed to draw away to God, but they didn't. They didn't come to the Lord. They didn't seek the Lord. They sought themselves. And in this, I'm reminded of the Greek mythology of Narcissus. Narcissus in the story was a young boy who was so infatuated with himself, and we have a slide depicting him, that he was at the pool of water and he looked upon the water and fell in love with himself. So enthralled with who he was. Gazing upon the reflection in the water of his own face, he fell in and he drowned. Now, the Greeks should have taken full notice of this analogy, this story, because this, in fact, was their dilemma. They were so enamored of self that there was no room for God. No room at all. But isn't that our story too? So often we're so preoccupied with the things that bring us pleasure, that make us happy. It's all about me, 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 me. And God's saying, no, it's not about you at all. It's about me and what I did for you. But we are so preoccupied with self and adoring ourself instead of Adonai that we fall into an abyss, just like Narcissus did. We should not be like that. And here, Rav Shaul is reminding us again of his source, the source of his hope and the source of our hope.
If you enjoyed this clip, please feel free to check out the full version in the link located in the description panel below. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. As always, help yourself to the diverse array of teachings located on this YouTube channel or on our website at glc.us.com.